and then the list name. Okay, so the list name is Power Automate Training. So I tried to make everything uniform by just using the same name everywhere, so it's easy to find it. So now I have only 3 lists, and I'm going to click on Power Automate Training. Now what it's going to do is get all the relevant columns that are in the SharePoint. So for example, the relevant columns are first name, last name, email address, phone number, and notes. Not that there are no other columns, they are hidden columns, but they are not needed right now. Okay, so now I want this to fill immediately. It is coming from the form, right? So now what I'm going to do is click, the title is also the first name because I changed it from title to first name. So let's pick first name into title, and then in the dynamic content we're picking last name. Email address, we're coming to pick the email address. We're going to pick the phone number and also pick notes. Okay, so now this flow is worthy. Right now it's going to impute information into the SharePoint. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and there are 2 ways to get your flow to run an already created flow. So you can run it automatically, which means if somebody fills another information into this form right now, so for example now we have just 2 responses. Now from those responses I can actually test this flow. Now what I did before, I apologize for rushing, what I did was I went to test, and I can do that manually and then click on test and wait for somebody to actually fill the form, or I can go to automatically and click with a recently used trigger. Now it's showing me 2 responses because we have 2 responses from Favor and from Harun. Okay, so I want to show us that it's going to use a previous detail that it already has to run this flow. Now even though there are more actions on the flow, it's going to run the whole flow. So let's click on test and watch it run. Okay, so now it's telling me the flow runs successfully. It runs faster because it already has the information, so all it's doing is passing this information quickly into the SharePoint site. So now before we didn't have any information in the SharePoint site, right? And now we do. We can do the same thing for Harun's response, which is the first one. We can test it, and then it runs successfully, and we have 1 more information that will join the SharePoint. Okay, it's taking a while. Let's refresh. Now we have the second information. So now, even if the information is not already there, so probably we have 1 more person fill this form. So is it possible for 1 more person to fill this form for us, so that we see a different response and we see that it still runs normally like the other runs we had? Even if it's just 1 person, please. I'm going to repaste the link because I noticed someone joined after I pasted the link. Okay, so we're just waiting for 1 person to fill this form and waiting for it to, let's click on manually and click on test, waiting for somebody to run this flow. Okay, thank you, Benga. See, we got information immediately. It's literally, it's always checking for information. So immediately someone fills it, we see information. So for example, now this run is from Mr. Harun, because this is a familiar name. So we can see that it got the information. Okay, so now let's go back to our SharePoint. Do you see that it has gotten 4 responses now? So this is literally working real time. So imagine you are trying to get let's say feedback from your colleagues. You need feedback and you need to go by table to get this feedback, but it's going to be very tiring for you. You can easily just create a form. That's if your company uses Microsoft 365, which if they are not, I think you should suggest it to them because it's the best actually. You just create a form, and then you create a flow and a SharePoint list. These 3 things already have given you, it's a one-time effort. Basically, it's a one-time effort. We're not done building the flow because there are still things I want to add. Even if it's just one more thing, there's still one thing I want to add to the flow. Okay, so what I want to add to the flow is that it sends an email to this person. It's going to be a very generic email. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the flow and edit. So now I'm going to add one more step. Now this step is just to send an email. Okay, just as the name says, that's the step I'm going to add. So I can just search send an email and it loads all the options that have send an email or an email. So this is the best one I love using because I'm connected to Outlook. I can also use Gmail. I can use mail. I can use notification. It just depends on what I want to use. But I'm picking the Office 365 Outlook. Okay. So now here is asking me what email address I want to send it to. And now I obviously do not have the last person that filled its email address, right? So what do? I click on add dynamic content and I go back to either the create item or I go back to the get response details to get the person's email address. Okay, so now I can pick any one of them because it's still the same thing. But personally, I like picking the SharePoint one because it already has the complete information. So I'm going to pick the email address. It's automatically going to send an email to this person. What should the subject be? Test for Power Automate training. Okay, I made a mistake. Now, what do I want to be in the body? I'm going to say hi, and I'm going to pick the person's first name. Okay, just the person's first name. So it looks like I looked at every response and I'm responding to each person, right? So sometimes you get an automated email in your, like you just fill the form and you get an email immediately. Some people, this is how they do it. Others, they use other platforms to do it. Okay, so I'm going to say hi first name. So I'm trying to personalize it now. I'm going to say here are the details you filled in the form. I'm going to specify. So I say let's say full name. I'm going to use full name because we filled first name and last name, right? So full name should be, let's say, first name space last name. We go into the next line. What else did we ask for? We asked for email address. So I'm going to state email address and then impute the email address. I'm going to put the phone number. Okay, and then pick phone number. So now I'm just going to write something else just to make it look full. Kindly respond to this email if the information is wrong. Okay, so let's say best regards Rukky. Oh no, so let me just use Rukky to not confuse people. Okay, so now I save. Now I can run this from previous runs, but I want to use my information so that I can show us immediately um, the response. Give me a second. Let me open my Gmail. So I'm going to fill this now for us to see. So I say Rukky. I say Ujara, and I say, okay, no, let me just use someone's name, just a random name. Please do not sucker me for this. I'm going to use my personal Gmail. Random phone number 001 123 456 789 or 78. That should be 11. And thank you for your time. And then I submit. Now this flow is going to run automatically and it's going to get the information. Let me go back so that we can see it. This was the flow we just ran. Okay, it's telling us that it's successful. Let's refresh this. It should have created person's information. Femi Ujara, thank you. Now I'm going to show us the feedback. That's the email that this person got. So this is what we just typed basically. It's very simple. So I'm going to do it for let's see, I'm going to use Favor because this looks like an original email, and I'm going to do it for Benga. So I'm going to pick their response. Let's go back. I think Favor was the second person to fill. So I'm going to say, let's see, it should be Favor. Yes, perfect. So I'm going to resubmit this flow. Resubmitting it is basically telling it to run this flow again. So it's going to run it again. Sometimes it refills the information, other times it creates a new item. Okay, so you see it's created a new item. So now I'm very sure Favor would have gotten an email with personalized information. So can you see it on my screen? If you can't see it, please speak. Let me zoom in for you to see. So it shows, hi Favor, here are the details. Favor, Ellen Loa, email address, Favor, phone number. Okay. So so far, do we have any questions? I feel like I've just been ranting. Do we have any questions so far?
Yeah, right away. It look clear, but hands-on we really grasp one of this.
I don't understand what you mean by hands-on.
Practicing it yourself, we ground someone on it.
Oh,
But
yes,
the
yes, yes.
process, yeah, the process is so is clear and well explained, and how you link the form to your SharePoint and how you automate it is actually a clear process you just explained. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Harun. Thank you so much. Yes, so I forgot to mention, Power Automate is actually free for all. So if you have a Microsoft account, let me try opening my personal Microsoft accounts for me to show you what I mean. So it is available for anybody to use. You can just have a Microsoft account and open make.powerautomate.com. Although there are some connectors that are called premium connectors and others are called standard connectors. Now, premium connectors are connectors that you either have paid for or you have to pay for. Standard connections are connections that you don't need to pay for. They are free to use. So for example, everything I use right now is free to use. I use the forms, which is free. I use the SharePoint, which is free. I use Outlook, which is also free for all to use. And they are all automatically connected. Okay. So I'm trying to sign into my personal account on another page. Okay. So it's free to all with I forgot to add with a clause or with a pause in it if you have a basic Microsoft license. Okay, so now let's do this. Let's open a new tab. So we have licenses that support Power Automate. So there are free licenses, or there are a lot of licenses rather, that Power Automate can use. Okay, so you have the standalone plans, which are the premium plans. If you have the Power Automate premium plan, you have Power Automate process plan, Power Automate pay as you go, the Power Automate per user, you have per flow, you have the P1 and P2. They are no longer available though. The Power Automate per flow has been deprecated also. If you want to know the current licenses, all you need to do is just go to the pricing page of Power Automate. This is the billing per month, but you can actually try it for free for 6 months. Sorry, 90 days. I think it's 90 days. When you don't have a normal license like a Power Automate premium or Power Automate process license, if you have like a Microsoft 365 E3 license, you can actually run a flow. You can also get Power Automate free. Let me show you the license I'm currently using to run this. So personally, I don't have the license to run premium flows because I don't need premium flows. Currently, what I'm using Power Automate for is just for running simple flows that are related to within Microsoft. So you can either get this one or you get if you have any of these Microsoft 365 licenses, you can actually still run Power Automate. Okay. You have Power Automate free. You can run any kind of flow. There are limitations, quite alright, but you can run flows. Okay. So all you need to do is just probably read more on Power Automate. If you look through the plans, you can see different plans have different things that are included. So you see standard connectors are included in literally almost every single one, except Windows license, which is reasonable. Then you have RPA unattended. This is robotic process automation. This is a tough one. You have premium connectors. They are included in a few, not all. So for example, if you have any of the Microsoft 365 or Office 365 licenses, a premium connector cannot work. Okay, if you have a Power Premium, it can work if it is inside a Power App. Okay, Power App is a different app entirely, but sometimes if you have a flow in a Power App and you don't have a Power Automate license, but the flow is running in context to the Power App, it would actually still work. Okay, it's kind of complicated, and if you have more questions, you can actually ask me now or whenever you feel like on my LinkedIn, you can send me an email I'll respond. Or on WhatsApp, just drop the message on WhatsApp. I would respond to it. Okay. So this is just like a basic of what Power Automate is. Okay. If you have something off the top of your head you think we can build quickly right now, you can. I will just take one idea and try it out. If anybody has any idea like that is very simple they want to try out right now, please unmute your mic and tell us, and we'll do it right now. So the floor is open. At least raise your hand and then I'll pick one person. Any idea is welcome. If it's something that includes a premium connector, I'll state that, or I'll show you so that you can see that this is not going to be possible. Okay, Michael.
Thank you, Rukky. Yeah, could we try to do something for a simple process where people, make like an order and then to the point of delivery? We also do the delivery, so the point where the order is made, so it goes through whatever to ensure that the package is set up, and then to the point where it's delivered.
That's actually a complex flow, because why I say it's complex is because you would have to be getting the order information from somewhere. So if it is not a standard connector, for example, if it's not from like a SharePoint site or from a form or any other standard connector on Power Automate, I would not be able to run it now. So I'm guessing you mean something like a Jumia. If somebody orders something on Jumia, gets the information and then send an email or something like that, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so that is going to be very, very hard right now, because it's going to definitely come from either a premium connector or a well, I'm trying to remember the right word. You would have to create like an app for it.
Okay. What of like an incident report? So someone has an issue a computer user has an issue, and then they can create a ticket, right? About their issue. Can we create a flow for that one too? Is that simpler?
Yes, we can. I'm going to try and think of something. Okay, so while I'm thinking, Favor, you can actually unmute and state your idea.
So, good evening.
Good
I was going
evening.
to suggest that, okay, this is like the flow is to track like a learning platform. So we have people come on board, fill the form, and let's say there's a particular question, and only people that score above a certain grade get like an automated mail afterward. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to do.
Yes, I do. That's actually very doable. Personally, I like using Microsoft Forms for things like that. So now, you are going to have a flow with conditions. That is what your flow is going to have. You might not be able to do that, but I can literally show you something in the templates that does that. So back to Mr. Michael, I'm going to need you to unmute your mic a lot, because we're going to work together on your idea.
No problem.
Okay, so first off, you said help desk tickets, right?
Correct.
So that means we would have to create a ticketing platform. So I'm going to use SharePoint as the ticketing platform. Is that fine with you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's okay.
Okay, great. So let's see. Okay.
Why the choice of
Perfect.
SharePoint though?
So I use SharePoint because if we're in a company context, some companies use SharePoint help desk